This is really riveting podcasting material for everybody watching right now.
Right?
Okay.
Hey, cheese.
Oh, hello and welcome to BetaHaus.Life. Elizabeth here, getting to do things a little bit different from our first two episodes. Instead of it being Ben and I recording, Ben is actually over on the side right now, getting to handle some of the technical aspects, but I have a very special guest here with us. And this is my cousin, Sarah Osborne, all the way from Owensboro, Kentucky. For those of you who are special and know where that is, you are very special.
Little town.
It is where I grew up too. So it's known to me in my life and very special. We, at different times, and we'll get into this a little bit more because our family dynamic is kind of funny in that it's a very big family,
Yes.
but went to several of the same schools just at different times. So our experiences, while very similar, also are very different. But I digress from the point of this episode in that we are getting to talk about what our family business meant to us growing up and what family business looks like. For people who are in corporate America, it probably seems really, really, really foreign to you. And to us, it's all we know. So corporate America to us seems like really, really, really crazy. And our story is a little different in that we grew up with not just a business that our parents started and not even that our grandparents started, but one that our great-grandfather started way back in 1904. So it's been around for a little while, and that is a little drugstore that is on the corner of 4th and Frederica in Owensboro, Kentucky. I've heard that address so many times in my life.
Right?
And yes, it is pronounced Frederica. Out here in San Diego, they do say Frederica. And it catches me off guard because it's just funny because it's like in Owensboro that told us who wasn't a native.
Yeah. Well, and a few friends of mine even, you'll hear Fredica, and I'm like, but there's an R.
Yeah, Frederica. It's like, it's pronounced funny, and the fact that there's a street named that in Owensboro, Kentucky is also pretty funny, because it really doesn't match with any other street name.
No. Like, where'd that come from?
Yeah. But that drugstore, Dan Howard Drugs, and that's been its name, and I found out that our great-grandfather actually bought that drugstore off somebody else. It was the corner drugstore originally, but it has had that name since 1904. It has survived what could have been some crazy buyouts, like back when Walgreens and CVS and all those were buying out a lot of the local drugstores. No, it stayed through, and it's still there today. But I remember it just because it was kind of nebulous to me. Like, Papa was there, and we would go by occasionally, but you got to be there a whole lot more.
Yes.
With everything.
Yes.
And so what was it like getting to be where your dad was working? Like, were you ever there, like, during the regular day? Like, I just got stuck having to go in with him.
Stuck. Yeah. I mean, pro con, sometimes it was really fun. We would help work and do as we got older, but I do definitely remember times when we were little and for whatever reason mom needed to do something, we just had to go to work with dad, and he's like, y'all are gonna have to hang out in my office, and me and Jenny and Billy, my siblings who are a little bit younger than I am, we're hanging out in his office, and we can see out the window, so we know what's going on because there's a window in his office, and we'd come out if need be, but sometimes we needed to take a nap in there. Sometimes we're just like hanging out in there, spinning on the chair, like doing whatever we need to do. He had a couple of little pillows in there, and I always remember there were 2 pillows and 3 kids. So we were gonna like lay down and take a nap.
Well, who gets a pillow today?
I know. Like, I guess if we share the bigger one, it happen often enough. This is nothing against Dad. It didn't happen often enough for this to be like a kid office. I mean, it was, well, that's where he worked. And that's where we learned what the internet was. But like, I remember being on the DisneyChannel.com playing around because we needed something to do if we were at the drugstore here and there, and and learning how to wrap presents. Grandpa taught me how to wrap a present, and Dad.
Oh, and they have like
help with the gift wrap, and
they have like that pretty gift wrap station too. Like the one you never have at home.
Yes, and then all the stuff, and so that was another thing that would be like, here, here's something you can do. Pull out the bows, because the bows that they have come like they look like this, just in two little, for the people that are listening and not watching, in two little loops on both sides. It's like stapled in the middle, but you have to pull the loops out to make it into a big fancy bow. So frequently that was our job if we were at the drugstore, before we were old enough to like really start helping with like useful things and pulling medicines and putting them back on the shelves and things. We would just sit there and pull bows out until somebody needed something wrapped, and then we would help wrap it, and then we'd go back to pulling bows out and fill the drawer up. I mean, it's just life there, doing whatever needed to be done, going out on delivery. Sometimes we just ride with the delivery man, or they would pick us up from school, which is always kind of funny. I've told this story a lot of times to some friends of mine lately, because this was before cell phones. So you couldn't, like, we didn't have a cell phone. We could just call. So Dad occasionally would need to be the one to pick us up, and school lets out at 2. And so we would be like, oh, Dad's supposed to pick us up today. Can we call him and remind him? And the teachers always said, no, you need to wait. I'm sure he'll come. We'd be like, okay, sure. Like, he's busy at the store. I'm 100% sure he's lost track of time he's working, And so we'd be like, okay, when can we call him? And they'd say, well, wait till 2:30 and we'll give him time. We'd be like, okay. And so we're watching 2:30 rolls around. We're like, it's 2:30. Can we call him now? And we call him. He'd go, oh, I'm on my way. We'd be like, sure you are. You're on the phone. We know you're not on the way.
Yeah.
And he'd come, and they would come in the drugstore truck, which had the rails on the back of the truck, Dan Hart drugstores, and that's how we knew who to get with. Like, we didn't always. I mean, they'd be like, do you recognize that person? And we didn't always know. We were just like, that's a truck. Let's get in, pile in and go to the drugstore. And that, like I said, that was just life growing up. That's what we did. He was there at the store most of the time, or I mean, if he wasn't home, obviously when he was home, and so that was where we were if we weren't home, and it was not a big deal.
I laugh about your telling too about The Office, because Laura and I, my sister, we had a very similar experience with Dad's office.
Okay.
And he had the most boring office. Now, he's a pediatrician, so the rest of the place was really fun, but his office was like the most boring place for two kids to have to go hang out. And we were never smart enough, or never like knew ahead of time to like pack a bag of things to do. And we would just be sitting there, and there was only one spinny chair and then one regular chair.
Right. So you're sitting in the chair too.
And honestly, for the things that we had to do, it was like we could read the DSM.
It's any wonder you all didn't become pediatricians too.
Going back to our family history, 3 of us I'm one of 6 kids, 3 of us did start our college career as pre-med majors.
Really?
0 of us finished it. Yeah, myself, Julie, and Alex all started with thinking, okay, we're going to go through med, and just didn't do it.
Yeah.
But found out that Mama and Papa, our grandparents, both wanted to be doctors originally.
Really?
Yeah, I found that out last night. And just because of the time that they were both going to college, and the fact that our grandmother went to college, back in the late 40s, that's just a big thing on its own. But their families couldn't afford to put them through med school. Okay. And so that's why they chose their professions then, so that their siblings could go. Because our grandfather was one of 6, our grandmother's one of 7. And so to get everybody through college who wanted to go, they couldn't afford to send one when it would cost twice as much.
Yeah.
So
I never knew that.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, a lot of us have tried. How many have finished? As I know, 1.
That's too funny.
So just with the family business, and I love that we have this, because for me it's been kind of like an anchor kind of in life, as weird as that is, to know that there's been this constant.
Yeah.
That if I go back to Owensboro, that drugstore is going to be there. If I'll get to hear my uncle, as you were saying, my uncle, your dad, on the radio. Or I've even seen the TV spots too. And it's like, there's Jeff.
Everybody says, oh my God, I love him and Goldie. And in fact, Jennifer was telling me not too long ago, somebody thought that he and Goldie were married. Like, she didn't realize Jennifer. And I was like, that never crossed my mind because Goldie's been around so long and they just, the radio stuff. And she's like, oh no, it happens all the time. People think Goldie's his wife.
For those of you who are not up on Owensboro lore, you probably need to Google this one. I recommend the Google on that.
Jeff Danhauer and Goldie.
Yeah, you just need Goldie, and that's with an IE, Yeah. And you probably won't put Owensboro, Kentucky with that, but yeah.
Yeah. I remember going in. We actually used to go in with him sometimes in the morning when he'd take us to school. He'd have to stop and do a bit with Goldie at the radio before we would go in if they had some that they needed recorded or whatever. And we'd sit in the corner of the little radio studio and watch him and Goldie do their thing and, banter back and forth. And he'd be like, good, that's a wrap. Let's go to school.
And knowing what I know about her background, the amount that she probably knows about drugstores or that whole industry is so limited. She's been in performing, and theaters.
All personality for those commercials.
Something I've got down here that wanted to kind of touch on was, going back to being kids and thinking through holidays. I don't know if you've ever realized like this, that our Christmas and Thanksgiving did not start until at least 6 p.m. because that's when Papa got off from the drugstore.
I always remember being hungry as a kid and being like, why aren't we eating? And, Grandpa or Dad would walk in and be, Jeff's here, let's eat.
Yeah. We would know who's working, who do we have to wait for? Yeah. And just even how it played into every day, the day and when you own your own business, knowing that it's you're the one responsible for it. You don't get the holidays necessarily that other people get. Yeah. It seems nice that I can schedule them, but especially when you're in a field where, you need to be open because people need you. Sickness doesn't schedule itself. That sometimes those holidays disappear. But also growing up with all of that, knowing what you do, what Lance does, your husband, I'm going to do a quick plug for you. Fab4 Archivist, on YouTube. Yeah. I'll have links in it so that you guys can look it up. Go check it out. Awesome channel right there. How has knowing that small business was a part of you helped you feel comfortable, you think, in being able to do your own thing versus feeling like I have to have a job at a big corporation or in a big company?
So I do currently work for a larger employer in our area. I work for the local hospital here, and they are a huge employer in our area.
Let me also interject there that I almost see that as a family business. Given the number of people in our family who have worked at that hospital.
It's true. It's still Owensboro. But with that background, I feel like even in our office, even though my office and my my role is a smaller part of a big office, I feel like I still get the back part, the back end part of it, the business side of it, how that works in our office, even though it's underneath a big hospital umbrella, as far as what I need to do to make this whole thing work, what I need to do for me. And if I ever did, later down the line, decide I wanted to start my own practice, it's not something I'm super interested in doing at this point, but also not something that I'm scared to do someday. If I decided I wanted to, it's not off the table. It's not where we're at in life right now. But on the other hand, we also felt confident and comfortable when we moved from Nashville. I took this job here, but Lance runs his own marketing business and the YouTube channel you were talking about, doing a lot of his own kind of freelance thing and doing his own thing, not feeling like we need to go somewhere, punch a time card and come home. I mean, that's not the type of job I have. It's it has more to do with what I do and how I do my work, and then of course with him too. And having that background and knowing that you got to do what you got to do that works for you, definitely is part of that.
Now, also, you chose to go the medicine side.
I did.
In our family, which is kind of a reoccurring theme. My sister went that route, although she's in administration.
Yeah.
So that was Laura. Julie is getting her master's right now in that area as well.
Yeah.
My degree is technically in that field. How much I use with it is not much because I was human performance exercise science. So a lot of us followed in that footsteps. But in our generation, after our parents, all of our parents' generation, all 7 kids went into medicine.
Yeah.
And they all married engineers or numbers people, which is also kind of funny. It's like, okay, that's something to look into. But then also in our generation, we suddenly got this crazy number of creatives out of that, like that you wouldn't expect. And some of it's hobby side, some of it's side hustle. Like you married Lance, obviously, and he's in the creative sphere with that. Your sister Jenny, also a podcaster, an avid knitter.
Yes. An engineer, as we're talking about, mathematics and engineer people.
Yeah, all of these interesting things. We've got our cousin Temmie, who is in art as well. Eric, who, is doing this really cool stuff with metalworking. I mean, it just keeps going. And I'm like, this is kind of an interesting thing to see reoccurring themes. Eric, also engineer.
Yes. And also entrepreneur as far as the metalworking goes. And Tim, also entrepreneur with the creative. Yeah. Interesting thought.
And so it has to make me wonder, how much of having that in our background freed us up to feel like, we can do this. We're not scared to go out because we saw it.
Yeah, go start something. Do it.
Who would have thought a little drugstore on the corner of 4th and Frederica, might be making an impact, in a much larger region. Now you start thinking about how we're spreading out. So, fun story to think about on that. So, part of our blog is that I allow you to do a shameless plug for anything you want to do. So if you want to do Lance's channel, I already did one, but you can do another, just go all in. And I will totally put, if you're watching this on YouTube, I will have the links and everything up here. So hit it. What is it about?
So obviously Lance's channel, Fab4 Archivist, but the other one that we kind of toy with, and we started it before Fab4 Archivist, is our podcast was called Above Average, and we have a website for that too, and did some podcasts together on that. Still occasionally blog there. It's something we may eventually go back to growing, but fun. It talks more about our family life, our big family life. Obviously, I guess we talked about, I'm in healthcare. I'm a pediatric nurse practitioner. And so, that's something that as I continue to build my practice around here, and that's my passion is kids. So that's where Above Average was kind of fun, because kids and family life, that's what I do. That's what I help people do. That's what I want to help people do. So that's my background. And I guess the best link I have, unless you're going to come to Owensboro and see me in my office.
Now your office is going to be brimming with people. Seeing as you're on a podcast that's first episodes go live in 3 days. So nobody's even heard one of these yet when we're recording. The joy of all that weird time loop stuff with it.
Yeah, right.
I had something. Where'd it go? Okay. What I wanted to bring up too was that that podcast was the first place I heard about affiliate marketing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with your diaper thing that you guys did through Amazon years. I mean, it had to have been 3 or 4 years ago now, right?
2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a little while.
Yeah.
And
something we kind of were toying with at the time.
Yeah. So just hit that out. And there is going to be a future episode where I'm going to be talking about my dad and affiliate marketing and how he was doing affiliate marketing before there was affiliate marketing.
I'll have to listen
as
to
a
that.
doctor. So
as a doctor,
how
right?
how that all worked out. It's like a really fascinating story. So teaser there for that one. And then another thing that we do is while we are recording, we always take a selfie and post it to social media. So I've got to get that selfie taken here real quick. Got to figure out how I'm going to do this with the computer. So we are learning photo right there. Flip the camera. So let's see if I can get you in.
I know. I'm like, I don't know how I can.
There we go. All right.
Okay. So there we go. This has been a great show. I've loved getting to talk with you and getting
to fun.
So you're now a podcast expert, right? Yeah. You've been a guest.
Guest posts everywhere.
Yeah. Right? So thank your lovely husband too for helping set up everything and get it going. And again, Sarah Osborne, they have a couple of channels. I'll have those all linked down below, as well as you know where to find us. Yeah. And that's it. Episode 3 done. Woohoo!
Yay!
So we will see you guys next week. Bye.